Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Condo Insider. I'm really excited to have with me Jeff Zimmerman with Environmental Graphics Hawaii. He is, and it was always hard to figure out who do we work with, who do we call regarding signs for condominiums. But with it out looking so, I want to say commercial or stark. And so environmental graphics really adds that element to signage around condominiums. He's also very cognizant of the laws that require certain signage, like our fire code. So Jeff Zimmerman, thank you for joining me today.
Good morning, Raylene. Good morning.
So I remember in talking to you, it was when the LSC came out, I think. There was some attention being, when it came out, when it was being talked about with the RIFSAC, one of the requirements that was being tossed around was if you're a condo that did not have sprinklers, one of the proposed items in the life safety evaluation or in the rules or in the law was going to require condos to put like this gigantic sign on the outside of their building.
Stupid idea.
Yeah, it was like 5x3.
We actually made a few. It was hard.
Yeah. But that didn't pass, so which is nice. Because it was huge. It was going to be like a 5x3.
I think it was 4x4.
4x4.
So stupid.
Yeah, and it to me it looked like I don't know, it wasn't a pleasant sign to read.
Well, it was a fear-based message that basically said you have to know, it's like an acknowledgement that your building doesn't have a fire sprinkler, and all the risks that are associated with that is basically on your shoulder. Welcome, hey, welcome home. Was a stupid
the first thing you see every day when you come home.
Like all those things, like remember there's that magazine called The Onion. It's always it's a joke. It's like this was like a joke. No one would actually really do this, and it was required, and we actually made a few of them. It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Anyway, can I talk about good news?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Good. My name is Jeff Zimmerman. My company is Environmental Graphics Hawaii. We've been at this for about 7 years, and we specialize pretty much on one thing, which is condominium signage. We were voted in, actually, I think maybe 5 years ago into the Purchasing Hui as a vendor. I know a lot about it. We've touched more than 450 condominium communities in the last 5 years. We are very, 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 very busy. We're busy only because people understand, and you can check us out very quickly on our website. It's eghawaii.com, E like Edward, G like George. And what you'll see in a moment is beautiful art. What it really is signage. And as Raylene said a while ago, some of the signage that we do is actually required by law, but we're not talking about that primarily. But we do an awful lot of fire signage, which is part of the fire code. But you'll see on our website that we create signs custom for each individual condominium. We have absolutely zero inventory. Zero. I'm not selling you anything. We don't have anything. We come to you as designers and then fabricators and then installers of signs. Over the last 5 years, I'll say it as humble as I can. We have a lot of great friends. People appreciate what we do. What you started the conversation with, Raylene, you could have used the word industrial. Like we're all used to like industrial signage. Like back in the day, you were forced to go into like Honolulu Sign Company, which I don't believe exists anymore. And they had signs on their shelf that said no parking or fire door, and it was white background and black letters. We do the opposite. We do the polar opposite. Because if you're printing signage, and again, we are printing signage for you because we're only making it for you because we have no inventory, why don't you make it beautiful? it's the same cost to print it beautiful or print it ugly. I'm choosing the beautiful. So we have a lot of friends. We have a lot of committed, very loyal clients that are primarily property managers, site managers of condominiums. We're very much involved with boards. I have a Zoom in 2 hours from now with a community in Waikoloa. We're starting from scratch. We're already up to about 350 signs because the community was built 35 years ago, and we're doing the entirety of the
Wow.
community, the entirety. And we are happy to do an entire community, but we also sell our signs one at a time. So don't be scared because it sounds like I'm a guy who's talking to all the big developers. I am not. I'm talking to 3-story walk-up apartments in Makiki and anything in between from there to Victoria Place. Because again, we never say no to anyone, which means that again, we come to you and find out what you need or what you want. I know what people want. What people want is an upgraded, more modern, not sun bleached, destroyed, horrible, I'll keep going, signs. Because every building has signs that is necessary and needed. And in many cases, it's just awful. It's decades old. And if we're talking about signage for the parking lot or hallways or fire stairwells or unit signs or a brand name, a piece right at your front door, we do everything. We'll fabricate from acrylic, aluminum, different plastics, vinyl. Everything we make is custom. We have every machine that fabricates and shapes any and everything. And again, look at our website and you'll see the things that we do. And even though you think it looks like, oh my God, I could never afford that. Yes, you can. We have hundreds of clients, and most of our clients and most of our contracts on average is $1,200 for a bunch of signs. So don't be scared. We're very friendly in how we meet and how we're designing people. We have a lot of proprietary designs. Most everything has a Hawaiian graphic kind of nod because we're in Hawaii, and we might as well make all of our signs in a place where we all live from. So we're very proud. We have a lot of fans because in many cases, our signs have enhanced and improved most of the properties where we put up signs. And it's almost a weird thing. Sometimes our signs are nicer than the buildings, but we might as well start that way. Again, I'm wide open. Thank you, Raylene, for being my cheerleader. And you could call me at any time, email me anytime, and I'll drive over and see what you got going on. But more importantly, you'll see that I have a comparison of your building or 22 comparisons of your building. So you're not going to be the frontiersman in this thing. We do this every single day. But again, I'll say it for like the fourth or fifth time. I'll make it for your building specifically. And that's exciting to a lot of people. And you'll find very quickly that our pricing is very, very affordable. The money is about the last part of the conversation. Everyone can afford what we create. So that's how I start.
Yeah, because with signage, you want them to, the whole purpose of it is people to notice them, right? But then there's some signs that, like you said, they're so commercial looking. I noticed in my area with the city, they were changing some of the background colors of the, I think some of the signs, that used to be a white background. All of a sudden I started seeing a fluorescent. And I went, man, now I'm noticing it more than I did before.
Yeah, it's reflective.
Yeah.
Reflective. Yeah.
But that was kind of something. But what also brought me to your attention, because I remember you were a topic of discussion like a couple of years ago, but I kind of had lost your information. and recently found you again,
Here I am.
is with the life safety evaluation.
Right.
And there was a condo that their engineer had said that they needed to install a generator to operate the elevator in the case of a fire, so the firefighters could use the elevators.
Right.
And I was like, I remember kid time when the fire department would come and do the little presentations when you're in elementary school. They always said, "Don't use the elevator in
Right.
fire. Use the stairs." So I was kind of like, when did that rule change? And I was kind of really getting confused, And I happened
Personally,
to
I would still run down the stairs.
yeah, because like I tell some people, I'm a Chicago Fire groupie, and there was one episode where a mom carrying her child went into the elevator after the firefighter had told her, no, you have to use the stairs. And he was the elevator guy, so he was down at the bottom trying to unstuck the elevator.
Yeah.
When it finally got unstuck and hit the bottom floor, it opened, and there was that mother and child.
Yeah.
So you kind of remember the little things like that too, kind of sticks in your head, you never forget.
Yeah.
But I was in a building that was recently renovated inside and out, and was one of your signs. And I said, I took a picture and sent it to this board member. I go, see, we were right. You're
Yeah.
supposed to use the stairs.
And on that note about the elevator conversation, we became very, very popular, maybe this is like right after COVID. We came up with an idea of creating all new evacuation maps for condominiums. We've done I think we're at about 185 buildings. These are signs that are right above the button of the elevator. That's why I'm starting the conversation, Raylene, because number one, this is not required by law. I'll tell you right straight up, it is not required by law, but we have yet to meet a board that agrees that having a very clear, very attractive evacuation map that people would see probably twice a day, maybe more, because it's right above the elevator button. And all it really does, it educates and communicates to all your residents that if you're standing right here, go that way, turn that way, go that way, and there's the fire exit. Here's the fire extinguisher. It's right behind you. The pull box is right there down the hallway. And we all know, and again, we do not sell fear. You already know that there is a condo fire almost every other month. That doesn't mean the buildings are burning down. There might be a grease fire in someone's kitchen, but that still requires people to evacuate the building immediately. And so we created and we continue to do these really attractive maps, and buildings say yes all the time. And it's very customized, very colorful. It gives you all the information about where the assembly place is, if that's part of your house rules. But we'll make it completely custom for you. So right after COVID, we got super, super popular because everyone understood that, how do I say this? There is fear out there. We lived through a horrible time, and we were really concerned about things we didn't think about before. Fire is a major one. It really is. And that's one of our most popular calls that we get. But we get the calls mostly because it feels to me like the fire inspectors are really doing their job. Their job is knocking on doors of every condominium, going through every floor with site managers and boards, and writing up every single building. I get at least once a week about non-compliance of fire code. There are buildings, as we all know, that are built in 1955, and there's buildings that were built 2 months ago, and every single one has to be compliant. I don't know where the fire inspectors have been for the last few decades, but my sense is they are required from the top down. And I get these fire inspections once a week. I'm really not kidding. I have thousands of buildings on my kind of map of either my current clients or one I want to get to. And every fire inspector is trying to go to every single building and cite them. And I've heard this from fire inspectors, and I think this they say it with a smile on their face that they don't really care about your budget. They don't care that you don't think you have enough money to make all of your fire signage compliant. They don't care, and you shouldn't either. Every building should have clear, easily communicative signage for residents because fire is not a joke. So we got super, super popular then. We are today. And join us. I'm here to make your community safer and happier and prettier.
Health and safety should always be a priority for condo boards. So it shouldn't be not in our budget or we don't have the money. I mean, you don't have, it doesn't mean that you have to do all of them all at once. You can do them incrementally to make it, fit into the budget. And having that signage at the elevator, the escape plan.
Or in the stairwell.
Oh, yeah.
In the stairwell.
Because our population is aging. We're already at a point where we have more people over the age of 62 than we have under the age of 62. And a lot of seniors, it's been a trend for a while. They're downsizing from their single family and going into condominiums. So condominiums have to be prepared and really think about the population within their own community and make changes according to that as well. So having that escape plans visible where they can see it, and memory loss is one of the big issues with seniors today, so that will kind of help to really enforce that memory for those individuals, even children.
The fire stairwell signage is I think where we're most popular these days. Popular because I mentioned it before about the fire inspectors are really doing their job in a much more aggressive way, I should say. The fire stairwell sign is the fire code required signage that tells residents where they are. Because in the case of a fire, God forbid, in the middle of the night and you're stuck in a stairwell and you're trying to call or the fire department talks to you on the phone, they're going to say, "Where are you?" And unless there is good information right in front of you in that stairwell, the only thing you might see is that 30-year-old stencil behind the fire door that just says 17. Our signage is much more comprehensive that tells you what floor you're on, what stairwell you're in, how many floors are in the building so you know where you are and what floor you exit out of the building, because that is a real interesting part of the conversation. There's a lot of high rises where if you have to leave the building, you might have to leave on level M or L or 1 or lobby. And we are making signs that make it really, really clear that you exit the building at lobby, if that's what it is, your situation. And when we go to lobby, we create one more sign that says exit the building here, because that level of confusion at 2 o'clock in the morning in the middle of an emergency, this is not good. So our signage, again, all the signage that we do is trying to make people understanding the situation, more communicative, clearer. Again, if it's good looking, it's more attractive. So you're going to keep seeing this information over and over. And that's what we're doing. We're definitely upping everyone's game in terms of communication as it relates to fire or any other emergencies. And we're very proud of that work.
Yeah, because that's a really good for the signage, because like I said before, I'm a Chicago Fire groupie. And I remember some segments they're saying, no, you have to exit on the north end of the building. And I'm like, if I was in a stairwell.
What is north?
Yeah, I'd be like, and it's bad enough even outside of a stairwell, like which way is north? I would get confused. So having that identifying mark, and then what if the condo has multiple buildings? Would your signs
Absolutely.
identify which building that they're in as well?
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Yacht Harbor Tower. I did it this last year. And it's really funny because the general manager laughed with me as we were looking through this 4-page fire inspection as they were celebrating their 50 years. And we're building some fire signage in a building that's 50 years old. You don't think about a development like Yacht Harbor Tower that's 50 years old because we all think we're really young. Yeah. Um, but that building operated without the correct signage for 50 years. And when we did it, everyone appreciated it. And the reason why I'm talking about it is because Yacht Harbor Tower has the Eva Tower and then the Diamond Head Tower.
Right.
And then when you're in the Diamond Head Tower, you're in Stairwell 1 or you're in Stairwell 2. If you don't have all that information right in front of you, you are lost. And you probably don't even know. You probably lived there for 22 years and you don't even know the information. So again, yes, we are selling a commodity. We're creating something that's custom for you, but I've yet to find a board that doesn't appreciate what we're doing in terms of fire signage, period.
And one thing I want to add on to that is it was a while ago, and I came across and after it was the aftermath of 9/11. So they had this committee had interviewed a lot of people, first responders, they interviewed survivors, and one of the common, and it was really to improve their readiness.
Right.
And one of the things I really remember taking note of is some of the people said that that there was not enough information or education as related to emergency exits. It was a mass confusion as to which way they go. Do they take the stairs? Do they take the elevator? Even the employees, when they would stop and ask an employee, the employee even said that they didn't know. So I think it's really important to have those signs because in condominiums, population changes. You have your owners, but a lot of them rent out their units, so you're going to have the in and out of tenants.
Right.
So it's not like you can be constantly doing education, kind of little mini education things like every 6 months. That's kind of hard. You can do it when they first move in, but you need those reminders, and signage is the best way to
Right.
set those reminders.
And
Especially
you know what's interesting, Raylene? Architecturally, if you look at all the buildings in Honolulu that's been built in the last 20 years or so, every building has a tower surrounded at the bottom, probably like a rec deck, and then maybe 2 or 3 levels of parking, and then a level or something. And people are so used to, again, in the events of an emergency, it's like, I just need to get out. But because you're so used to like going to the pool and going to the rec deck, and you're thinking it's like, well, let me just go down and get to the pool deck. Do not get out of your building in the pool deck in the middle of a fire. So these examples are so right in front of you because architecturally, it's confusing because all you really want to do is get the hell out to the street, get out. And we have very clear signage. Again, yes, it sounds like I'm selling fear. And you know what? I guess I am on some level, and it's not a bad thing as it relates to emergency. I'm selling it. Let's make it clear.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're nearing the end of our time, but I really want to thank Jeff for being on here with us. And I have seen his signs, and they're nice. They're not, they get the message, but they're not stark or commercial. They kind of appropriately blend in with the building, but again, they get their message across. So I really encourage you board members to really seek out Jeff, Environmental Graphics Hawaii, eghawaii.com, to really upgrade and install your signage that is required by fire code, and start with some of the most important signs first, and then and we know everybody has budgets, so we're not saying spend a lot of money all at one time. You can do it incrementally. as
Yes.
your budget, put it into your budget. Every year you might do one set, second year do another set, do it over time.
Sure.
But to get them done. But there's one just kind of funny little tidbit. It's finding the finding the right height for a sign. Don't put them too high. So, so that was my little tidbit, because there's one sign that I saw. I had to kind of reach up high, take the picture of it.
Raylene,
But
thank you so
you
much.
might want to put two.
I appreciate your time. I really do.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
And thank you for being here with us on Condo Insider. Thank you. Thanks,
Aloha.
everyone.
Bye.
Okay.